Today on Capechi's Corner, we're going to look at parabolas. Now, we've done some work with parabolas before, but we're going to go into a lot more detail in this lesson. And this is also going to be part of our conic section. So some of this vocabulary is going to go with us throughout this chapter. So within our parabola, this is the general shape of a parabola. It looks like a U. Okay, within there, we also have a focus and a directrix, and we're also going to deal with the vertex. Okay, so we have our vertex, and our vertex is right here, and we're going to do a lot of different values. There's our HK. Now, we need all this information, and we have this form of the equation. So here's kind of the layout when we have y equals, and then we have an x equals. And this really talks about whether you're going to open up or down or left or right, depending on what your equation is set equal to. Okay? We have an axis of symmetry. We have vertex. We have the focus is a point, and the directrix is a line. So we go back up here. You can see that a point is the focus, and the directrix is a line. And both of those are equidistant, right here, equidistant from the vertex. Okay, so if you look at our diagram over here, we have a lot going on. The focus is always on the axis of symmetry, and the directrix is the line. It's always going to be outside the parabola. Okay, and again, we have equations for each. We have a general form of a parabola, which we've used in the past. We're going to do our standard form today, like we talked about, the form of the equation, which we have down here. Sometimes that's also seen as the vertex form, or some teachers talk about that as the vertex form. Okay, so we definitely have a lot to practice today, so let's get started. All right, so our first one, we want to write this equation in standard form. So what I did was I have this equation right up here for you so we can kind of get started with it. We need to identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of open, whether it's opening up, down, left, or right. So we know we're okay. So first we're going to do a lot of completing the square. So we need to have our binomial squared. So we're going to kind of play around with that first. I'm going to leave that 6 alone for now. I'm going to pull out that 2 because I have a greatest common factor there. I have an x squared minus 6x, and I'll have plus 6. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with this completing the square. So half of negative 6 is negative 3. I square 3 and I get 9. So I'm going to have x squared minus 6x plus 9, plus 6 on the outside. Now, because I have a plus 9, I need a minus 9 to keep that balanced because they're both on the same side of the equation. But it's not really going to be a minus 9. I'm going to take that back because we have to remember we're multiplying it by 2 up front. So 2 times 9 gives me 18. So what I did from this equation to this equation is I really added 18. So I need to subtract 18 from to the outside. Okay, so now I'm going to get it a little bit more in standard form. So I have 2 times. Now this is a binomial squared, right? X minus 3 squared. And this becomes negative 12. Okay, so that's what we have it now in standard form, or like I said, sometimes vertex form. All right, so let's label what I have. This is H under here. This is A, and this is K. So my vertex, which is HK, is going to be 3, negative 12. And my axis of symmetry. Now I know this is y equals, so I know it's either going to open up or it's going to open down. So regardless, my axis of symmetry is going to be a vertical line. So that's going to be x is equal to, it's going to be equal to 3, right? It's going to go right through the vertex. And because that A is positive right here, that's positive, my parabola opens up. All right, that's some of the basics. So let's keep going. We'll kind of build as we go. Identify the parts of the equation and graph. Again, I have the equation there for us to help us along. So let's see what I have. I need to get y by itself, right? So I have y is equal to, I'm going to bring that 2x to the other side. I have negative 16x, and I'm going to bring that 32 to the other side, and I get negative 33. Okay, so I notice again, I only have one y, and I have x to the second power, so I know I need that y by itself. So in a similar fashion, I'm going to use completing the square. So I get my negative 2 out there. I have x squared, and then I'm going to get minus 8x. I'm going to leave that space right there now that we've done one with that. I have negative 33 on the outside. Now, half of negative 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Take 16, I'm going to multiply that by negative 2, and I get negative 32. So to keep that equation, because it's all, again, on the right-hand side, I'm going to add, since I do have a minus 32, I'm going to add 32. So when I'm done, I have y is equal to 2 times x minus, guess what? This is a plus because I factored out a negative 2. So I have x plus 4 quantity squared minus, and this gives me a 1. So again, let's just back up, make sure we're okay. I factored out a negative 2, so that should be a positive 8x there. Okay, so that's my equation. This is my equation I'm working with right now. So my vertex is going to be negative 4, negative 1. My axis of symmetry is going to be x is equal to negative 4. So let's kind of see what we have so far. I have negative 4 and negative 1. Negative 4, negative 1 is right here. Okay, so my axis of symmetry is going to go right down the center, so that's where things are going to kind of fold in half. Now, I can pick some points and see where else I need to plot it. Negative 2, and now I'm going to substitute negative 2 right in here. Negative 2 plus 4 gives me positive 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 1. Oh, gosh, there's a negative 2. Let's try that again. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Minus 1 gives me negative 9. Okay, so I have negative 2, negative 9 is going to be here. And again, I know this is going to be symmetrical. So over here, I can just go 2 to this side. And again, this is going to look like a U, an upside down U, right? Because it opens down. All right, so let's get onto the focus. Remember, that's the point that's going to be inside. So I have HK. So my H value is negative 4, right? This is H. And this is K. So I have negative 4 is going to be my first coordinate, is going to be my first value there for X. Now my K is going to be negative 1 plus 1 over 4 times A. Now my A value is right here. That's negative 2. Make that negative 2. So that gives me negative 4, comma, and then this is 1, negative 1/8. So plus negative 1, that's going to give me negative 9/8 or negative 1 and 1/8. Either way is fine. Okay, so I'm going to be negative 4, negative 1 1/8. So I'm just going to be just right in here. Okay, now this is from negative 1 on my vertex, from negative 1 to negative 9/8. It's 1/8 from the vertex, right? From vertex. Okay, so my directrix, I'm going to take negative 1. That was my vertex. I'm going to add 1/8 to it. So that's going to be negative 7/8. So that's going to be my line. So my directrix is going to be right in here. And we're definitely estimating there. Okay, now again, that's a line. So I have y is equal to negative 7/8. That's a horizontal line there. The direction I'm opening is I'm going to open down. All right. Okay, let's look at our next example. And again, now this time, if you notice, we have y squared, and so y. So I'm going to get x by itself this time. So I have 2x is equal to y squared plus 4y plus 10. So I'm going to work on my completing the square there. So I have x is equal to, and then I have y squared plus 4y. Leave that open, plus 10. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So I have 4 here, and I'm going to subtract 4 there. So I have 2x is equal to y plus 2 quantity squared plus 6. Now I don't want 2x, I just want x. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. So I have x is equal to, and then it'll become 1/2 times y plus 2 squared plus 3. All right, so my vertex is going to be 3, -2. And let's do some graphing here before we decide on our axis of symmetry, direction of the opening. So my vertex is 3, -2. Now I know that it's going to open right or left because of the fact that we got x by itself. So let's just fill in our table a little bit. I'm gonna use 5. I'm sorry. I'm gonna use 0 for my y value. So I'm gonna substitute in here. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1/2 is 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So I have 5, 0. Right. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and I'm gonna open here. So again, I can see that it opens right. Now my axis of symmetry is going to run right along here. Right, it says y is equal to -2. Let's take a look at my focus again. So my h value is going to be 3 plus 1/4 times 1/2, and my k value is -2. So this gives me 3 plus 4/2 gives me 2, and then minus 2 there. So this gives me 3.5 and -2. So my focus is going to be 3.5, -2 right here. Okay. So my focus is basically 0.5 away from my vertex. So my directrix in the other direction is going to be 0.5, right? It's going to be right here at 2.5 since my vertex has a value of 3 there. So I have x is equal to 2.5. All right. Okay, let's look at some other examples that have a little bit different given information. Write an equation for the parabola with the vertex and the directrix, then graph the equation. Okay, so I have the equations written down, and again, you have it in your chart that I gave you right in the beginning. Has all that information here, right? So I just pulled it out ahead of time so we would be ready to go. All right, so I have to figure out what I have. I know that the directrix is y is equal to 1. So I'm actually I will draw that just so it, again, kind of gives me something that I know that I have for sure. And then I have -2, -4. That's going to be my vertex. Now, I know that I'm going to have to open down, right? Because my directrix always is on the outside. So let's see if we can come up with an equation. All right, so I have so far, let's use my vertex. I have a, and then I have x plus 2 squared minus 4. Now, if I could just come up with that a value, I would have, right, if I just need this, and I would have my equation. So this is where the directrix is going to come in handy. I'm going to use this equation right here. So I know my y value is 1, right? In my directrix, we have that already. I know my k value here is -4. And then I have minus 1/4a. All right, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I have 5 is equal to -1/4a. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4a, just some algebra now. And I have 20a is equal to -1. So a is going to equal to -1/20. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this right up here. So I have y is equal to -1/20, x plus 2, quantity squared minus 4. Okay, so that's my equation. Now I am going to graph a little bit more. Now I'm going to just make a table here, right? I'm just going to do a table. So I have x and I have y. I'm going to start with -4. Substitute that into my equation there, and I have negative 4.2. So I go negative 4, negative 4.2. I know I'm going to be very similar on the other side, so I'm going to go right there. And there is my parabola with my equation. Okay, for our last problem for today, again, we're given a little different information. So we have my focus is 5, 6. I'm going to go 5 and up 6. And my directrix is x is equal to negative 2. Okay, because of where these two are located, I know that my parabola is going to have to be somewhere like this, right? Somewhere in the middle there. So it's definitely going to open right. I know I'm going to use this equation that x is equal to rather than y is equal to. So that's kind of where I'm going to get started. I'm going to use this equation in just a little bit. Okay, so I know that right now my vertex, right? My vertex is HK. So I know my vertex is going to have a y value of 6, right? Because it's going to be along that axis of symmetry. Now, if I count here from the directrix to the focus point, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 units divided by 2 gives me 3.5, right? So I'm going to take from negative 2, I'm going to go negative 2 plus 3.5 is going to give me 1.5. Or if I went from this point at 5 and subtract the 1.5, subtract the 3.5, I would get 1.5. So I'm in good shape there. So I have 1.5 and 6, and that's going to be my vertex. All right. So my equation that I have so far, similar to what we did in the last problem, I have x is equal to a times y minus 6 squared plus 1.5. Okay, so if I could just find that a, I'd be okay. So now I'm going to use that directrix equation, go back up here. I know my x value is equal to negative 2 is equal to my h value, which is 1.5 minus 1 over 4a. I'm going to bring that negative 1.5 to the other side, and I have negative 3.5 is equal to negative 1 over 4a. Multiply both sides by 4a. So I have negative 14a is equal to negative 1. Divide both sides by negative 14, and I end up with a is equal to positive 1/14. So my equation here is going to be x is equal to 1 over 14 times y minus 6, quantity squared, plus 1.5. So that's my equation that I'm going to need. Okay, now again, I can pick some points. XY table, the first one I'll use is 9 for y, and then I'll use 2. Again, I'm going to let you know what the values are. If you want to pause the video, you certainly can. This gives me 2.1, and this gives me 2.6. So I'm over 2.1 here, and I'm up to 9, so I'm right about here. Same thing on a little bit more, 2.6, a little bit further, and I'm up to. So same sort of idea, right? There's going to be my parabola opening to the right. Okay, thanks so much for stopping by today. Have a great day.